But I'm so glad to be here. I'll show you a picture of my family. I don't know if, hopefully they have it. Got to show you this good-looking family. Oh, it's here? Okay, it's on the sides. So you got my husband, Mike Kai, and can I tell you what nationality he is? He's Hawaiian, Chinese, Filipino, Italian, Norwegian, Scottish. Yes, I married a green-eyed local boy. And so he was a single dad, and so when I married Mike, Courtney was about 7 years old. She's now a mother, her husband Jason, and our 2 grandkids. And then my beautiful daughter Karis next to me, she's actually 17 now, a junior. And then Rebecca is 26, just got engaged. And yes, so I'm going to have a Samoan son-in-law. He's like 300 pounds. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to cook double what I normally make. So that's my family, and they're just amazing, and we're just so blessed. So let me start off by just reading these 3 scriptures, okay? Matthew 26:40, it says, then he returned to the disciples and found them asleep. Jesus said to Peter, couldn't you keep watch with me even an hour? And Jesus said that 3 times. He says, couldn't you just stay up? Couldn't you just stay up? He said it 3 times. 1 Thessalonians 5:6, Paul says, so then let us not be like others who are asleep, but let us be awake and sober. And then Romans chapter 13, verse 11 to 14, it says, and do this, Paul says, understanding the present time, okay? The present time today. The hour has already come for you to wake up from your slumber, because our salvation is nearer now than when we first believed. The night is nearly over. The day is almost here. So let us put aside the deeds of darkness and put on the armor of light. Let us behave decently as in the daytime, not in carousing and drunkenness, not in sexual immorality and debauchery, not in dissension and jealousy. Rather, clothe yourself with the Lord Jesus Christ, and do not think about how to gratify the desires of the flesh. The reason why I started off with these 3 scriptures is because, you know, as you read, especially in the Old Testament, there's been a lot of commandments, a lot of telling us to wake up, get ready. And I really feel like this is the time, this is the season when we must all wake up. Waking up from our slumber. You know, when I think about waking up, you know, how many of you love to sleep? Okay, that's a lot of you. It's a lot of you. You need a lot of beauty rest, don't you? Right? So I remember, like, years ago, we had a conference, and we had John Bevere, we had Ben Houston, and and so they were staying out in this hotel down at Colina, and we were having a conference, and then I think it was a Saturday. So Saturday morning comes, we still had a conference, and then I get a phone call like 6 a.m. in the morning, and I'm like, who's calling us? Because at that time, we still had those phones that get plugged in, you know, that kind of phone. Pick it up, and it's our executive pastor. He's like, Pastor Lisa, I just want to let you know, we have a tsunami warning. We can't have church. We can't have conference today because the tsunami is supposed to hit us at 10 a.m. And I'm like, oh, crap. And then I was like, oh my gosh, John and Ben are staying at Colina, and Colina is right on the beach. And oh my gosh, their wives are going to kill us because they're like in that zone where tsunami's going to hit them first. And so guess what? The sirens were going. And I was thinking, what is going on? Why is there the sirens? You know what happens when you don't have tsunamis here, right? We have them. So you get these sirens, and they keep going off. Ooh, ooh. Okay, so I'm running to the bedroom, and I'm like, look who's still sleeping. Mike. Mike snoring. And then I'm like, oh my gosh. So is it going in and out? It's going good? So I'm like, Mike. I go, Mike. He's like, what? And I said, there's a tsunami coming. And he's like, what? I'm like, a tsunami. Get out. We got to go and tell John, and we got to make sure they're okay. He's like, okay. You know, he slept through the alarm. And he would have slept through the tsunami. And I just feel like that is such a picture that a lot of us are sleeping through. We're sleeping through the alarm. When things are happening, when things are being shaken up, we're sleeping on our job. Yeah. And as Maria has shared, you know, I started a women's ministry called Arise. And this is going to be our 12th year having a women's conference. Yes, a women's ministry called Arise. But can I tell you that I didn't like women? And when God told me that my next season was to build women up, and I said, of all people, I had the children's ministry for 12 years. I didn't like kids either. But God put me in children's ministry for 12 years. And then I was thinking, okay, what's next? Okay, so we plant a church. Okay, I can do that. I can be a pastor's wife. I can just sit in the front row and smile. I can do that. But then I just started to search and ask the Lord, like, what is my next season? You know, Karis is 3, and she's ready to go to preschool, and I know the gift that's on me, and I want to build something. And then God says, women. And I was like, no. There's just so much drama with women, you know? Too much complaining, too much just dating the wrong people all the time, you know? And so I went to a conference just like this. I was told to come to this conference, and my husband kept saying, you gotta go. And I was like, I don't want to be with women. And he says, no, you gotta go to this one. So I went to this conference, and he kind of gave me a tape of the pastor wife preaching. I put it on in my car, and I just couldn't handle her voice. I said, oh my gosh. 3 minutes in, I'm like, I need to turn her off. She's squeaking too much, you know? It's true story. I never told her that. It's not Marie. So I had confirmation that I need to be at this conference. So I booked a flight, flew my way to the conference, sat there, and of course I'm like this, and that's probably some of you are doing this too. Like, I don't know why I'm here, but I was forced here. My friend paid for my ticket, and I need to respect her, or I might have to pay her back. I was that girl that was criticizing worship. Like, what kind of song was that? You call that a worship song? It should be a little faster. It's too slow. You know, I was like, ugh, I was just that girl. And then when I sat there, I think the second night, God broke me. Because a lot of times when you're asking the Lord, show me, what's my next season? What am I supposed to do? What's my purpose? Who am I? You know, y'all that question, right? And so I go to this conference. I was blown away by what the Lord was doing in me at a women's conference. I left the conference with a vision. Because at that conference, there were like 10,000 women. And I sat there going, wow, God, wouldn't it be amazing if Hawaii could gather 10,000 women at once worshiping? And then God says, you're going to do it. And I said, oh, no. Why did I say that? And then I knew. I said, God was giving me an assignment. God had to wake me up at a women's conference. I knew I had to be there, but I didn't want to be there. But because I was seeking and asking, God showed up. And at this conference, I literally saw the vision of 10,000 women in the state of Hawaii at a women's conference. It's our 12th year, and I really believe there has been more than 10,000 women that came through this conference. And what was so amazing was I had this prophetic vision. I felt so like, after the conference, you're like on this mountain. You're feeling so high as if you took drugs. That's what it feels like sometimes when you're like, high on Jesus. It's a good high. It's not a bad high. It's a good high. So I come back, but I'm doubtful that I heard from the Lord. I'm always like, really? Did God really speak to me? Yeah, he did. But I said, God, I'll just keep quiet. And my husband, he had to take care of the kids. Of course, I hear all his complaints about what it was like to take care of a little one and to take care of a teenager and, what to eat and what not to eat. I'm like, that's what I do. And so finally, maybe like 3-4 days passes by after I came home. He's like, so tell me, what did God show you? I knew that once I told him what happened to me, that he was going to make it happen. That it was going to be spoken into the atmosphere, and I can't take it back. Can I just tell you that when God wakes you up and God shows you something, when you speak it into the atmosphere, it comes alive. A lot of times we keep it in ourselves and we stew on it, sit on it, and then years goes by and you're like, wait, I remember 2022 in September, God spoke to me, but I didn't do anything with it. But can I say that those dreams are still alive? The visions are still alive. The prophetic word is still alive in you. You just need to speak it. You need someone to hold you accountable. So I come as a builder of people, of women. I love building women. I love building you up because God did that to me. God did it to Marie. And we just want to just pass the secret sauce. The secret sauce. We just want to tell you exactly, don't date that guy. He's a loser. I love that she does that. I was sitting there going, yes. But this is what I've seen in the last 12 years as I build women up. I see the enemy coming in, stealing, killing, and destroying the daughters of God. I see women walking around as if they have it all together. They look like they're perfect. They look well-dressed, confident, smiling, all together. I see many women comparing themselves to one another. Come on, ladies, we're the worst. We are the worst. We check out every lady in a room. We don't check out the guys. We check out the ladies. What is she wearing? Like, look at those lashes. Those lashes are a little too long for her. We just can't be for each other. Or we see something in someone and you're like, I wish I had her eyes because I don't like my eyes. I think my eyes are small. Like, do you know that a lot of Asians do those surgeries where they fold it so it can have a crease? I won't do that. But I'm just saying, it's because we keep comparing ourselves. And I see women not living up to their full potential. And I see a lot of women dealing with insecurities because I have them and I had them and I'm still managing them. And then I see women wrestling with their identity. And then I see a lot of women slumbering, sleeping through life. But I'm here today, a Chinese woman from Hawaii, came here to tell you it's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. You know, one of my mentor, Lisa Bevere, you know, she helped me start off my conference the first year. This was 12 years ago. And she said, if ever the church needed to be dangerous and fully awake, the time is now. The time is now. You got to understand, the world is groaning for righteousness, for truth, for integrity, for identity. It is getting worse and worse and worse. We can't turn a blind eye because the enemy, who is our adversary, our opposition, rival, foe, and challenger, okay? There is. He is out there. Would love to see that we're all asleep. That we have our favorite blanket and we're snuggled up with those fluffy little sandals and slippers and just snuggled up and just sleep. But Isaiah chapter 42:67, it says, I, the Lord, have called you in righteousness. I will take hold of your hand. I will keep you and will make you to be a covenant for the people and a light for the Gentiles, to open the eyes that are blind, to free captives from prison, and to release them from the dungeon, those who sit in darkness. So when you think about it, what if we started to realize, because we started to see, like I've been praying for all of you for a while now. I was praying that you would see, that you would have eyes to see what the Lord is doing, that you will be able to discern the atmosphere, the season, the tension, that God has given us those eyes. Because when you think about it, what if we realized that God is the reverser of all lies that the enemy has made us to believe about ourselves? The reverser. What if we realize the truth about ourselves, that all the promises that God has for us is still available, right? What if we realize that we actually matter? That my voice, that my life matters to someone. And what if we realize that we actually have a voice? Some of us have felt like you've been silenced by the enemy. You feel like you have nothing good to say. And, you know, it's almost like I see you in the corner and everyone keeps walking by because they haven't heard you. You felt like you've been unseen. But God says you have a voice. And what if we realize that Jesus can raise up dead things, a dead marriage, a dead relationship, and he actually can raise up dead people? We know he can, right? So what if you realize that you've been asleep? Is there a realization that maybe you've fallen a little asleep? You've been kind of lifeless. You've kind of been in a daze, kind of out of sync, kind of out of touch with God. And then when you finally wake up, okay? When you finally wake up, this is what the devil's going to say. Oh, crap, she's up. Oh, crap, she's up. This is what the enemy will love to say. You want the enemy to say that about you. Like, oh crap, Marie is up. Oh no, she can sing too. And she can prophesy. You think about that. Would the enemy say that about you? Or would he just ignore you? Because he's got you in the perfect place. He got you right where you should be. I'm here to tell you we need to all wake up. We need to wake up. So, like, what are some things that we need to wake up to? Okay, there's 3 things that I felt like, but there's so many things. But the first thing is your identity. You and I need to wake up to our identity because guess what? The government is defining your identity. We can't let that happen. We need to know our full identity because it's being attacked. There's only male and females. That's it. That's it. God just created a male and a female. You know? I saw this sweatshirt and it says woman. And I'm like telling my team, we're going to make a sweatshirt that says woman. Because everybody needs to understand who they are. That's the reason why I wrote this book. Okay, I wrote this book called Perfectly You. I really felt like this is my story, but I really felt like a lot of us are trying to figure out who we are, whose we are, for so long since we were like a little kid. We were like, when you think about it, I was a little girl. I was born in Hong Kong, but my family came to Hawaii when I was 1. And, we just came and we spoke Chinese. We spoke Cantonese as our first language. And, of course, we didn't go to preschool because, that's just too much money. And Chinese people, they don't want to spend money on preschool. They just rather send you to free school. So I went to school, but I didn't know I was different. I just thought I was like everybody else, but it's just I didn't speak English. And so I went to school, and I guess they realized this girl doesn't know much English, so I ended up being in an ESL class, right? Those classes for kids who need to kind of catch up. But I didn't know I was in an ESL class. I didn't know I was in a special class. I just thought, oh, this is so fun. I get to play bingo. I get to play fish every single week. This is amazing. But then I started to realize maybe second grade, how come my friends aren't in my class? The friends that I hang out with, why am I in this? And then you see these kind of people just like me, but I didn't want to be like them. So I grew up thinking, okay, well, I don't want people to think I'm them. I want to be like them. And I still remember this girl, Cheryl, okay? Cheryl was a popular girl in school. Everybody wanted to sit with her at lunchtime, right? And you see them like just all over her. There's always somebody by Cheryl. Cheryl, come play with me. Cheryl, come, And I'm impressionable. I want to be like Cheryl. So for a long time, I would be like, Cheryl, can I sit by you? And she's like, I got so-and-so sitting with me today. Maybe next week. I was like, okay. Every other day, whatever, I go, Cheryl, can I sit by you today? And then she's like, yeah, I got room for you today. I said, okay, yes, I made it. I made it, yes. And that was my identity. My root issue was I didn't feel accepted. I never felt I was worthy to be in a setting, a group of girls. So I grew up being mean to the ones that were lesser than me, looked down at them thinking, I'm not like that. I kind of made it. And when God got a hold of my heart at the age of 22, okay, I was raised as a Buddhist. There was no Jesus in my life. The only Jesus I knew was that play called Jesus Christ Superstar. That's when I said, that's Jesus. And so when the day that my boyfriend of 5 years left me for a friend of mine's, I said, okay, I was at the dinner table and I was like literally looking up thinking, okay, if there is a God, I said, God, in my head I'm thinking this. I'm like, God, if you're really for real and if you want me to go to church, then someone's going to have to call me, invite me to church. Because I'm one of those kind of girls, like, if you do this, then I'll do this. And so, guess what? God loves me so much. I get a call in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. So it's my ex-boyfriend's sister. She's like, what's going on? Da-da-da-da. And I said, your brother's a jerk and da-da-da-da. And she's like, why don't you come to church with me? I looked up and I said, like, how the heck did you know what I was thinking? I just started bawling. I cried and cried alone in an empty apartment. And I realized, okay, because you think about it, it could have been any church. Could have been a Jehovah's Witness church. Could have been a Mormon church. Could have been a Satan church. It was a God Christian church, thank God. And so I'm excited. Like, this is like some Monday, and she's like, church is on a Friday. And I'm like, yes, but what do I wear? She's like, well, church is in a cafeteria. Oh, okay. So how should I dress? Casual. Okay. So I'm going to church, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is church. I'm going to church. And it was a cafeteria. I was like, okay. And then I hear the music. It felt like I was going to a nightclub again. I said, oh my gosh, this is what it feels like when I went to that nightclub a week ago, you know? And I gave my life to Jesus literally every single week. I was thinking, God, oh my gosh, who told the pastor about my story that my boyfriend left me? Who told him that I was so mean to my friends in school? Who told him all this stuff? And so every week I go, I'm repenting of the same things. And then I give my life to Jesus every single week. And finally, the pastor had to stop me. The pastor said, Lisa, you're good. I said, you sure now? Because I have no background in Christianity. I thought you had to give your life every single week to Jesus. And so when you think about, I was that girl who the enemy was trying to attack her identity, saying she wasn't worthy, she wasn't seen, she's a nobody. That's the reason why I wrote Perfectly You. Because then I started to, the biggest part of my life was comparing. Comparing myself, because I did it as a little girl. If we could speak truth to our little girls, we wouldn't grow up comparing ourselves for the rest of our life. Because the worst thing is when you compare yourself. Like, I used to go to conferences as God was dealing with my insecurities. I'll be so insecure with the pastor's wife. I'll be looking at her going, like, I could have done that with Marie. Like, oh my gosh, I love her hair. Oh my gosh, it curls, it's colored. Mine is just strictly black. That's all I can do is black. And I'm looking at her gorgeous body. I'm like, wow, she got boobs. I don't have boobs. Okay, I don't care if the guys are here. Chinese don't have a butt. I was looking at all of your butts. I was like, wow, they got butts. That's why I wear a jacket, so that nobody sees. But can I tell you, I know someone did tell me, Sam Rodriguez says, you got some Latino in you. I'm like, ooh, what does that mean? Because I sure don't have the Latino body. Like, what is it? I got to go find out. Maybe Marie can tell me what it was about. But you think about comparison. Comparison is corrosive. It either puffs you up, because that's what comparing does, because you want to be better. It either puffs you up to pride, or it drives you down to despair, because you're never satisfied. You're never content with who God made you to be. It's because your eyes are not fixed on Jesus. Your eyes are fixed on another woman every single day. And I really love what Marie is building here. She's tearing down her wall so that you can tear down your wall. Because if we can't be a society of women that would allow each other to see us for who we are and to know that we are actually really loved and accepted. That we do not have to be like a Cheryl. We don't have to be like a Marie. We can just be perfectly you, which is amazing, which is beautiful. And when you think about it, comparison leads to insecurities. You and I have a lot of insecurities. One of the best study I ever did was through a study with Beth Moore, all her books, her Bible studies. The lady with the puffy hair, the lady, Texas lady with the puff, puff, puff. And, I remember I think she said this, it's time to root out what has been holding you hostage from God's plans. I really believe the enemy, through insecurities, through comparison, has held you hostage from God's perfect plan for your life. If we would just walk in Godfidence, not self-confidence, there's a difference. We all have self-confidence. You and I walk with self-confidence because we look like we have it all together. Self-confidence looks like that. Look, I'm perfect. Look, I wore the right jacket, the right colors, the right lashes. I want to look perfect. But when there is a Godfidence, it's different. It's because of what God has done in your life, what God has revealed to you, what truth He's told you about who you are. And then now you can go, I actually like who I am. I actually know who I am. So you walk not in self-confidence anymore. Now you're walking in Godfidence. Because women don't like your self-confidence. Women don't like that you're successful. Women don't like it that you're pretty, you're beautiful. Women don't like you. Because we compare ourselves to you. So you're not liked just because. And because you're so self-confident, we don't even like you even more. But how would you like it if people say, there's a Godfidence about that girl? I can't pinpoint it, but there's this confidence that is so peaceful, that is so gentle, that is so kind and so endearing. She encourages me. She doesn't put me down. She actually likes me. She thinks I'm smart. She thinks I'm wise. It's that confidence that God creates in us when we're perfectly you. And we have so many gifts to offer. You and I are gifted to do something with the Word of God, to do something with the gift that God has given us. The second thing that I want us to wake up to is to truth. Truth. A lot of us have been believing in so many lies about ourselves or about people that the enemy has really gotten a hold of you. John 8:32 says, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. For me, I had to realize that I need to understand what is God's truth about myself in order for me to be set free. And I have 3 girls, and when God revealed this to me, about the lies that I had believed. And it was in this study, in the Beth Moore study, and it says, you need to expose the lies. And I'm like, but I don't want to share my lies. I don't want to tell people what I've been believing because I feel shame. And that's what the enemy does. He wants to make you feel shameful for revealing the kind of lies that you believed. So in this study, it was saying that lies are like being in a prison. The enemy just loves to imprison you in this corner, in this cell. So you go in it believing in all these lies, and eventually you start putting furniture in it. You start putting your clothes, you're putting a TV, you start sleeping in there, and you start realizing, this is my life. This is who I am. When in actuality, the truth is, there's always been that door. It was never locked. Enemy just lied to you, and all you had to do is open that door and you're set free. But it's up to you to come to a realization and come to expose the lies. So when I was in my connect group, which you guys all need to be a part of, a connect group, we went through this study and we had to share with one another, what is that lie that you have believed in? And I was like, oh, I don't want to share my lie because it's just too embarrassing because it's been something I've been hiding. Lies are things you hide. Lies is what you hide. So I'm like, oh my gosh. I said, okay, so everyone thinks I have this self-confidence all my life. They say, you look so like all together all the time. I'm like, yeah. Yeah. And they said, because I'm Chinese, right? Oh, you must be smart. Yeah. You must have graduated with a bachelor's and a master's and a PhD. I'm like, yeah. If you think so. So I let people believe what they want to believe about me. Because my biggest lie was I was not smart enough. Sound silly to me. And can you imagine, I believe in this lie for like over 20 years. To think that I was stupid. Because, I love my dad. He's your typical Chinese, kind of rude and, And we had 3 girls, and me and my sister, and then my brother and my sister. And then my dad would often compare us to the two, my sister and I, my older sister. He would say, she's the smart one. She's the one that's going to make a lot of money. And this one, she's always into her looks. She's always trying to make pretty, pretty, pretty. So that's what I was told. You're pretty, pretty, pretty. But she's smart, smart, smart. So she goes to college. She gets accepted to University of Hawaii. I get rejected. It's okay to laugh. It's okay. I'm confident now. I'm okay. And then I go to a community college. I graduated a 2-year degree, right? But it's not acceptable to be graduating out of a 2-year degree, especially in my family, especially in my culture. You're supposed to be with a 4-year degree. But I was like, whatever. I just don't need to tell anybody. I just make people think I did. And so that was the biggest lie that I exposed to my connect group. And they're like, that's it? And I said, yeah, it was big for me to say that. And everybody got to share. Like I said, whatever is spoken in the atmosphere, God can work with it. I exposed a lie that set me free from my prison walls. I no longer feel like I'm stupid. I no longer feel like I have to be accepted if I have a degree or that I am going to make it in this world. Like, I can confidently now say, I have an associate degree in hotel management. Because when you think about the lies, right, it holds you hostage. It's because you don't want to expose it. But if I were to ask you tonight, if you were to expose a lie, what would that be? Imagine this as our connect group. We're going to have some revelation time. Exposing a lie because it will set you free. And then you're going to realize, my gosh, the blinders are off. I'm not that stupid. When you think about it, you could be making agreements with the lies. Whenever someone tears you down, and if you make an agreement by saying, yeah, I think I am, you've just made an agreement. And now you're being held hostage by that lie. And then it starts hitting you and hitting you in your head, and you start going, yeah, I think so. I remember so-and-so said that about me. I remember, yes, and you start going down the thing. And that's how a lie starts. So that's the reason why truth is so important. And for my daughters, whenever they was, because kids have it the worst. Us adults, you should be able to be smart enough. You are smart. You should be smart enough to realize what is the truth and what is a lie. Like my kids would come home and said, oh my gosh, so-and-so says my nose is crooked. Because mine is, just FYI. Don't look now, but yeah. Or, so-and-so, I'm this, or I'm this, I'm that, I'm this. And then so when they come home, I'm like, okay, I need you to answer this. I said, was that a truth or was that a lie? And they had to answer it. I couldn't answer it for them because, of course, I'm going to be their mom. No, babe, you got the perfect nose. No, babe. Instead, I want them to expose the lie and not make agreements with those lies. So when they answer it, is that a truth or that a lie? In the beginning, they went along with me. It's a lie. I said, yes, it was a lie, babe. And then every time they come home, every single year, is that a truth or a lie? Mom, stop it. I said, but babe, is it a truth or a lie? It's a lie, okay? But I've taught them how to tackle a lie that is coming at you. Because you're going to have to decipher and discern what is a lie, what is the truth. And when you think about it, what lies have you believed about your marriage? I wanted to hit the marriage pretty hard. What lies have you believed about your marriage? That it can't become fruitful again? That you can't fall in love again? That you can't, find your husband sexy again? Even though you've gained 30 pounds? It's okay. That's what's inside. Right? What lies have you believed? What about being single? You think your goal is to get married. It's not your goal. That's a journey. If you think you're single and you're supposed to be married, you just believed in a lie. And now you're always dissatisfied, disappointed. And you're down on yourself, thinking, what kind of life will I have? Honey, you got a lot. You got to understand that these are lies of the enemy. And the way you deal with them is you rebuke, you repent, and you restore the truth back in. This is something I need you to wake up on, right? The first thing is your identity. The second is truth. And the third thing is blessings. I was just listening to a podcast by Jensen Franklin. He says, live in the blessings. Live in the blessings. You keep asking yourself, God, bless me, bless me, bless me. That's how you guys sound. Bless me. And God's like, I have been. You're just not seeing it. You're not appreciating what's in front of you. I gave you a husband that you asked for 20 years ago. You married him. You said yes till death do us part. You prayed for it. He blessed you. But what have we done with the blessing? Can you still say, I'm living in the blessings? I love what I have. I like what I'm doing. I love this church, and I want to give to the heart for the house. I want to serve the people of this community. What's in front of you? Because we need to appreciate the things that God has given us. Our spouse. Our husbands, our kids, our mother-in-law, our father-in-law, our sister-in-law, and even his ex-wife. Ooh, I hit something. If you want a life that overflows and not a glass half empty all the time, live in the blessings. Proverbs 10:22 says, the blessing of the Lord brings true riches, and he adds no sorrow to it. What are your riches? What are your riches? List them. Stop listing things you don't have, but list the blessings that you have. These are 3 things that that we need to wake up to. So I'm just going to go really quick. What happens when we wake up? What happens when she wakes up? What happens? She's alive once again to fulfill her God-given purpose. She's alive again to fulfill her God-given purpose. She lives out being perfectly you. That's what's going to happen when you start to wake up and you understand your identity. You've been unveiled the truth. You understand you are blessed. There's a newness, there's a freshness, and there is a aliveness in her. Are you alive? Are you passionate once again? Are you going to come back to church and go, you know what? Even though I was hurt by someone in the church, am I going to let that person dictate my blessing? Am I going to let her dictate my future? Am I going to let that pastor? I see so many Christians cut short of their life being a follower of Jesus Christ is because of a hurt in the church. We're not the perfect church, but we will be perfected. But if you're called to the church, to this church, you stick it out. It's like a marriage. You don't leave because you got offended. You don't leave because the usher didn't put you in the right seat. You don't leave because someone stole your parking as you were turning when you're making your light go right, and then someone just came in and just took your stall. I know, that's you, huh? You're like, you can't do that. You can't do that in a marriage. You don't do that in the church. You stick it out. You talk it out. You work it out. You repent. You ask for forgiveness. You give grace. Right? And then she doesn't waste her time on meaningless activities. Some of you you got too much time on your hand. Stop wasting your time on relationships that won't take you where you need to be. Social media. Stop getting so caught up in the gossip, because a lot of the lies about people are through social media. People's identity is not what people portray in the social media. I can't believe how many torn relationships because of a post. I can't believe so many people's reputation has gone sour because of a post. I refuse to defollow people, even though I don't agree. I just feel like I don't want this person to think I'm going to X you out just because you said this in the post. Because you're more than that. You're more than the post. You know, and another thing is when she is awake, she'll be focused and fierce and not complacent. Because there's no such thing as complacency in the kingdom. In Hebrews 6:12, it says, so that you will not be spiritually sluggish, but will instead be imitators of those who through faith lean on God with absolute trust and confidence in Him and in His power, and by patient endurance, even when suffering, are now inheriting the promises. She is focused and fierce and not complacent. And the last thing is, she is yielded to God's Spirit because she's fully awake. When you're fully awake, your discernment is on point. Your prophetic word is on point. Your prayer life is on point. Your relationships are on point. It's because she's yielded to God's Spirit, and she won't fall back asleep. She won't fall back asleep because she knows the time and the hour has come for her to rise up, for her to be awakened from her slumber. Romans 12, 1-2 says, therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. See, John 8:32 says, you and I cannot do anything without God leading us, because when he wakes us up, he will guide you into all truth about who you are, about the lies that you've been believing, and to know that you are blessed. You know, Isaiah 42:16 says, I, God, will lead the blind by ways they have not known. I really believe God's going to lead us as we wake up. You're not going to be blindsided. You're going to be like, God, wow, I see the path that you have for me. I will lead the blind by ways they have not known. Along unfamiliar paths, I will guide them. I will turn the darkness into light before them and make the rough places smooth. These are the things I will do. I will not forsake them. When you're awake, something gets stirred inside of you. You can't even explain it. Even when I came back from this conference 12 years ago, 13 years ago, I couldn't explain what was going on inside of me. Like I said, I felt like I was high for a while. I didn't want to come back home. I had to, but I didn't want to come back home because I thought, will it leave me? Is this for real? God, did you really speak to me at this conference? Because I heard all these messages, all these things that was said, the songs that were sung. Was that for me? Do you love me that much that you would sing for me? Would you love me so much that you would deliver that Chinese lady to this conference to tell you that you are worthy? That you are loved, accepted, graced, beautiful? I never want to discredit my beginning days. Don't ever want to discredit what God did in my life from the first day of my salvation. God grows us seasons. God grows us every season, in and out of seasons. You'll have rough patches. You'll have good places that you'll say it's been such a great place, but it's been a journey. My journey has not even ended. Marie's journey hasn't ended. We're all part of the game plan that God has on this earth. Do you know that? You're all a team player. My daughter plays for volleyball. They're only good as a team if everybody plays well. But they don't all play well. But if we all used our gifts, if we all did our part, we could be that glorious church that God talks about. People are going to talk about Freedom House Church going, there's something about that church. Women there, they're unusual. Oh my gosh, they're kind of nuts. They're kind of crazy. Can you imagine, you think about the lies, okay? I know that I want you to remember something about this message. I know that last year, I think at last year's the conference from last year, you noticed the sword that Marie was holding. And is there a picture of her there's a picture of Marie with the sword? Yeah. like, ooh. It's like she's going to do battle with the sword. Like, this is how she is going to battle this world with the word of God, with the sword, right? I talked a lot about lies. I talked a lot about exposing the lies. Yeah. And for me, I've struggled with lies for so long, insecurities, and I hated it. I would hate coming to, not hate, that's kind of a strong word. Every time I would have to deliver a word, I sat there going, no, not me. This is so hard, God. My stomach is turning. I'm getting nervous. I'm feeling, I have all these lies that keep coming at me saying, you're not like Marie. You're not like so-and-so, Lisa Bevere. You're not a preacher. You're not this. You're not that. People are going to look at you and they're going to laugh at you. You know, everything that you guys go through. And I said, okay, I'm going to battle every single lie. I'm going to kill every lie. I'm going to expose every lie. A lie is like a fly. You know those flies, those nasty black flies? They land on your food. And can I tell you what they do on your food? They poop. Yes, YouTube it. They poop on your food. They poop on anything they land on. A lie is like a fly. The lie is like poop. And he leaves the poop on you. That's what lies do. They're like flies. So, I'm going to share with you what I do. Marie has her sword because she's Latino. She is going to I'm Chinese. I have a fly swatter. So every time I deal with a lie coming at me, I'm like, talk. A lie comes, I'll be like, and then after a while, they don't come around me anymore. Because this is my weapon of choice. Yes, because the enemy wants to poop on you, and you can't let him poop on you. Don't let him linger. Don't let him land. You can run away from that fly, or you can kill it. I choose to kill it because I don't want them to reproduce. Think about a lie. Anytime a lie comes at you, I know you're going to look crazy. You're going to be walking to your job interview. You're going to be walking down the street. You're going to be walking in the shopping mall. You're going to go like this. You're going to look crazy. But you're going to learn to do this in your mind. You're going to start realizing this is where confidence comes in. I don't need to go like this. In the beginning, it's going to look like this. But as you walk in God's confidence, in truth of His Word, you read it day in and day out, you receive His Word, you receive His blessing, His truth, you no longer have to use a fly swatter. Once in a while, you might pick it up. You start going, no, you're not landing. He wants to come at you. You're like, no. I do that. Maria and I do that all the time. I slap her, she slaps me. I slap her, she slaps me. when that lie is super big, and you kind of realize you've been attacked by B-52. You guys know what a B-52 is? You know those flying roaches? Yes, the big one, the big, fat, black one. Then you gotta bring this one. The one that zaps them. Yes, you need the big one. The one that's more expensive. Because I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna wake up at this conference. When you leave the conference, you're gonna wanna go back to sleep. And can I tell you that on Marie's watch and on my watch, you're not gonna go back to sleep. Because this is what Marie's gonna do. She's gonna slap you. And then if that doesn't work, she'll fly me back and I will slap you. Or you can just do it to yourselves. And whenever your girlfriend is starting to believe in a lie, she's gonna talk to you. Can I just share something with you? I hate that. You know, da-da-da-da-da, and you're like, back. Can I give you permission? You can slap her until she wakes up. Why not? You would have saved her from believing in a 20-year-old lie. Just slap her.